Duke exercises their PNC Arena demons on Monday night, and yet again, NC State comes up empty-handed.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further? Do you ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find that next big adventure. Check them all out today on nissanusa.com. Happy Tuesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, I talked about Duke exercising their PNC Arena demons on Monday night. Duke wins the game 79-64. The first half was kind of interesting. You saw signs of those last couple blowouts of Duke coming into PNC. NC State got off to a quick start. Duke was kind of out of sorts, quickly capitalized on their athleticism and simply just bullied NC State into submission to take that lead back. And after that, Duke was just kind of off to a comfortable win.
We talk about exercising demons here, Grayson, but can we get Coach Keats to exercise his quad one win demon?
I don't know, brother.
We thought that we had the exorcism. We thought we had the ordained priest come in. We thought that we had the power of the PNC compels you. We thought. And lo and behold, what do we get yet again?
Nothing.
Yet again. More disappointment. More, we fought hard. Oh, the first half was so good. Oh, this is disappointing. We are in year what? With a fully healthy team, might I add. A team that has been uncannily healthy all season. And yet again, we are reminded that we just are not good enough. I'm tired of it. I'm exhausted. I'm running out of words to describe the disappointment. And now I'm starting to figure out why apathy sets in towards the basketball team, because eventually, unless you have a genius level intellect, one of those 13th level intellects that Brainiac and all of his descendants in the DC universe have, you'll run out of words to describe the constant feeling of emptiness, the constant gut punches, the constant looking over your shoulder knowing, oh, we got to lead? That ain't going to last long against a good team. The constant feeling of we really are multiple teams' little brother in basketball. It's tiring. It's just tiring. The last thing I'll say on it is this team has a horrible case of can't get right-itis. The only question is, will we see it manifest itself again in next year's team, or will we get a spike season from Keats, which means what? We end up on the right side of the bubble finally.
Still no cure for the can't get right-itis. You saw a lot of those same symptoms in this game on Monday night. And honestly, the game was lost despite being close in score in the first half. I know Duke only led by 3 going into halftime, but the amount of second chance points that Duke was able to capitalize with their umpteen offensive boards just crushed us on the offensive glass. NC State could have taken full advantage and built up quite a pretty solid lead if they had not allowed so many second chance points, but we all know the story on that. We know how that's been going the rest of the year. So like I said, Duke basically took control, they got physical, and then never really looked back. And so there went the opportunity for some PNC magic, although Kenton, you and I both didn't exactly see such a thing going down on Monday night. Just Duke has a bit more to play for. This is where we're at this point in the season. And the seniors, it was senior night. DJ Burns was honored. DJ Horn was honored. Casey Morsell was honored, and of course, Alex Nunnally as well. DJ Burns ends up having his best game of the season. A bit bittersweet because it's much too little, much too late. But nonetheless, it was good to see DJ Burns go out on this note. He had his season high in points, very effective in the first half, led the charge for the Wolfpack in the first half. And if nothing else, if you think nothing else of DJ Burns after what you've seen this year, I will remain fond of him for games like this one, where he could just completely dominate down low with his athleticism that you might not expect him to have, and his flashes of excitement in him as a player. I will always remember that about DJ. So I was glad to see that happen for him on senior night. Casey Morsell is another one. Been here for a couple of years. Put a lot into this program. Didn't obviously have quite the year he wanted to this year. I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you that, but he's been a solid piece to what Keats has been trying to put together here. So hats off to Casey for a good career here in Raleigh. And DJ Horn. I mean, what else can you say about DJ Horn this year? Did a lot of backpacking over the course of the season. Raleigh kid, of course, coming home for him this year was a big deal. Glad he got to do that and play close to home in front of friends and family. These are three guys that are going to be moving on from the program. Alex Nunnally too, can't forget him. But these are three big pieces to this program. They're going to be moving on. It is bittersweet how this season took place. It really sucks for all parties involved how it went down in this fashion. But if nothing else, hats off to these guys. Thank you for everything, and best of luck to you moving forward.
I think looking at these seniors' impact is a direct result of Keats' shortcomings.
One of them, yes.
I think looking at their impact overall is a big part of it, because the transfer portal exists in football just as basketball, correct?
Correct.
The turnover in ACC football is about 40%, much like basketball, correct?
About the same, yes.
So why is it that every senior night for the football team, we see all of these guys who have been in the program for 3 to 4 years being extremely impactful, and yet we never see that for basketball?
I think you can connect the dots there.
When's the last time we saw a guy? And I'm not talking about like a Peyton Wilson level, because we all know a Peyton Wilson of basketball, that's like your Taquavian Smith level. He's leaving early. Fine. I'll give you that. Sure. Dylan McMahon. Where's that level of guy? Where's that level of player that we look at and we say is in the program for 2, 3, 4, well, not 2, 3, but 3, 4 years that left a legacy of some sort? And I'm not talking about team success. I'm just talking about as an individual, this individual was extremely productive while they were here. I'm not looking for an entire starting 5 or an entire 5 worth of guys who've done that. I'm just looking for a few, a couple, because the importance of that is they're your culture setters. They're your tone set. They're the guys who understand the system, understand what you want to do, understand how you want to do it, and they go out and execute it on the day-to-day. They go out and make sure that everybody's on the same page with the little stuff. Something that I believe is one of the many differences between he and a coach like, let's say, a Wes Moore, the player development part of it. We're not seeing guys stick around and be developed. And also some of the guys that we're seeing leave. It doesn't even make sense. It defies logic to see some of these guys leave. So, all in all, I look at this situation and I say, hey, credit to the seniors. Much love to you. This isn't a disrespect to you all. This isn't an affront to you all. This is just stating an objective fact that even with the difference in basketball, you still see a Kihei Clark at other schools. You still see Isaiah Wong and Norchad Omier at other schools. You still see all around the conference, we see guys who stay wherever they're going to stay for quite some time, and they're darn good there. We don't have that guy for NC State that that guy just feels like he's been there for forever, doesn't he? Those two feel like they've been there for forever doing their thing. And yet again, based on some information that Grayson and I have, we're probably not going to see that going forward, which, take that for what you want, but it is what it is.
I think you're right. A lot of that is attributed to program culture. And we've talked a lot about how it doesn't really feel like there is much of a culture around our program right now. At least for the last couple of years, it hasn't felt like anything. And so that is another reason why we stand where we currently stand. My last point here, it's somewhat related to this. I totally forgot to mention this on yesterday's show, but I think this is still relevant. Keats' post-game comments after the loss at UNC, when he said that we just don't have that many shooters. We only have 2 or 3 of them. And when they don't play well, it's tough to score. Didn't love that. Did not love that. That felt a lot like throwing your players under the bus. And the timing and the context of those comments, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look any way you look at it. That is why I had tweeted from the account, you constructed this roster. Like, you pick these pieces. It's a this you situation. This you? Did you not construct this roster? Are you not now criticizing those same players for not contributing how you expected them to? Like, I didn't love that. Didn't love that. It goes back to that program culture where they're spiraling right now. And that a comment like that one can very easily just rip apart any shreds of culture you have left. And the loss was not great. Monday night's loss was not great. Nothing around this program currently feels great. And so it's about a week or so away from what will be a extremely interesting offseason, just depending on what does end up happening. We've heard some things. Some folks have heard some things. You might feel some way about some things. Still a lot has to take place, but we're probably about a week and a half away from really hearing anything on that front. Coming up next, we're getting into a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something, after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is FanDuel. 6 more days to wait for our state of North Carolina. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to our state. On March 11th, we'll finally be able to bet on all of our favorite teams in all of our favorite sports. And with FanDuel, there's tons of ways for us to get in on the action. You can bet on everything from money line to over-unders to which team will make a little noise in this year's March Madness. This all comes on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, with live betting, you can even pick which player will put up the next bucket, maybe even the one after that. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon so you can be the first to know when FanDuel goes live in North Carolina. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Middle portion of our Tuesday episode. Now time for a whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something. 3 topics, and we'll tell you exactly where we stand on them. First one here, staying on the topic of basketball and trajectory. With the season now hurtling toward the NIT or possibly below the NIT, should NC State even consider playing in the NIT? Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something, because we're asking the wrong question here. We're asking, should NC State want the NIT? The better question is, does the NIT want NC State? That's where we are as a program right now. And let me make this very clear. Let me make this abundantly clear. Matter of fact, let me make this crystal clear. We are not the Dirty Foot Club. And while, they decided to, we're just not going to play in the NIT and all that, Kevin Keats, if they send you the invite, you take your behind to that tournament and hope that you can pull out some wins there and do something that can get the fans somewhat engaged and believing that you can coach your way out of a paper bag in 2024, 2025. And Grayson, I know where you're going. I know that there's nothing you can do in the NIT to fully win fans back over. I agree. But you still better. You got enough young guys on that roster. So they need to be playing all the basketball they can get in. Period. So I think it's a whole lot of something, because I think it's a bad assumption that the NIT will want us.
I hear what you're saying, and that's all valid. I just think at that point, none of it would matter. None of it would matter. Nobody's interested in NC State playing in the NIT. They could win the whole NIT tournament, and to be completely honest, nobody would bat an eye. It just does not matter. It would not move the needle. It would not bring any confidence that anything would change for this program going into next season. A whole lot of nothing in every sense of the imagination. So if they get invited, do I think they should play in it? Yes, because we're not going to quit. That's not what this school does. However, people are also not going to be tuning in for that. Let's be completely transparent about that. It does not move the needle. For me, it's a whole lot of nothing. Next one here, we're going to sandwich a football question in the middle of these. All of the incoming new wide receivers are 6 foot or above. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. And not only are they 6 foot, these guys are talented. We got some guys with some stars like that. For example, Chase Claypool is a great example of a big guy that does not play big. He's very big. He's very fast. And yet, when people throw him up the ball, he doesn't play like a big guy, high pointing the ball, going up and attacking. I'm sure Noah Rodgers ain't going to have a problem doing that.
Right.
We've seen Wesley Grimes do it. He can do it at a high clip. We have seen Joe Lee be the most tackle-breakingest tight end in America. And by the way, I'm not saying the continental U.S. That includes the boys out there in Hawaii. The Rainbow Warriors do, in fact, have an FBS football team. So the reality is the height is part of why this is a whole lot of something, but the talent. Think about this for a second. Your only guys you're bringing in that aren't or that are going to be starting that aren't 6'2" or taller is a freshman All-American in KC.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Some people say Joker Phillips saved his job. I think he may have saved the program. Sign me up.
Completely valid take. This is a whole lot of something, and it's not just a whole lot of something. It's a really big deal. We obviously went at length in discussing all the issues we had at the wide receiver position last year. Were they all related to height? No. However, like Kenton mentioned, not only do these new guys bring the height, but they bring an influx of talent with them. Wesley Grimes, good at high pointing a ball. Noah Rodgers can do legitimately everything. Justin Jolie, I know he's a tight end. You say the tackle breakingest?
Yes, he has the most broken tackles. He has the most broken tackles. That's what it is. He's the tackle breakingest tight end in America. Most forced missed tackles.
The tackle breakingest tight end. Yeah, that'll play. So, and he's a big body as well, 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
And we talked about in the middle of the struggles last year, we wanted the influx of tight end play because they are bigger bodied wide receivers that were able to do a multitude of things. We didn't end up seeing a whole lot of it, but this year you could see it from the wide receiver position. You could see it in the slot. You could see it at tight end. There's just so much more athleticism this year that we can take full advantage of. And like I said, Robert Anae is a mad scientist, and you give him all the right potions in the laboratory, he's going to do something with it. So a whole lot of something for me. Last one here. This is a baseball one that'll transition us into the last portion of the show. NC State third baseman Alec Makarevich earns ACC Player of the Week honors. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. The Mac man deserves it. You know, he took a little bit of a beating leaving Greenville. You know, he took a little bit of it didn't do you right, Big Mac. We love you in Raleigh. We're glad to have you, buddy. We're glad to have you, and he's clearly glad to be here. I mean, that man, he can do no wrong on the diamond right now. When he gets in that batter's box, he's going to get it done. He's doing everything you could ask of the young man right now. He is rightfully the player of the week because he has been balling out of control. The thing must look like a beach ball coming down the plate right now because he can't miss. Whole lot of something.
Yeah, he hit 455 over the course of the 5 games last week. 6 extra base hits, 13 RBI, more than enough to show for ACC Player of the Week honors. And this will speak to a bigger point that I'll touch on in just a couple minutes. But you talk about trying to formulate roles as you move into ACC play, and you need guys to stand ahead of the crowd here. You need guys to step up and lead the way. And so for a guy that's played probably more baseball than anyone else on this roster in AMAC coming over from ECU, for him to be the guy is such a key piece to what this team could be this year. So I'm very happy that this experiment's working out. It tastes a little bit better that it's coming over from ECU in the process. So whole lot of something. We're very happy to see what AMAC can do the rest of this year. Absolutely crushed it last week. ACC Player of the Week. Coming up next, we're going to close out our episode with some baseball talk. A little bit of abrupt news came out on Monday about Tuesday's game. We'll discuss after a quick word from our sponsors. Second sponsor of the day is Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further? Do you ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Well, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and also the great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for nearly anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into that 12.3-inch touchscreen infotainment system. That's a word for you, infotainment. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. The 2024 Nissan Pathfinder has room up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capabilities. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Last couple of minutes here on Tuesday. As I mentioned, got some baseball news coming across our desk on Monday. Tuesday's game against Winthrop has been postponed due to several players testing positive for the flu. Did anyone else experience some war flashbacks when they read this on Twitter on Monday? No, just me. At least we didn't get this notification at 2 a.m. this time. I'll give that as a little bit of an upgrade. But yes, the game on Tuesday against Winthrop has been postponed to a later date. Do I think we still could have beaten Winthrop, even missing some players? I do. Winthrop actually lost to the same Queens team that we beat by 15 runs this past week. But nonetheless, this is very important from a sense of you're entering ACC play on Friday. And for several key players to be getting the flu right now, that could be potentially something to keep an eye on. You want to be at full strength, full health, giving it a full go once Boston College comes into town on Friday. So I think postponing this game was the right move. Give your guys as much rest as they can possibly get because you need to be, like I said, ready to go once Friday rolls around.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I'd much rather see these guys skip the midweeker, the tune-up game per se against Winthrop than to try to push through it and maybe some guys get better, maybe some guys get worse, maybe whatever is going on spreads and we end up having to postpone, reschedule, or forfeit outright some of these games that are in conference, which to me matter a lot more. Rest up, get healthy, keep those bats humming, keep those arms rolling. We'll be all right coming in against Boston College. Winthrop, we'll see you when we see you, friends.
Yeah, and I don't think this delay will cause any disruption in, I guess, the current momentum, if you want to look at it on that front. I'm more concerned with that one last opportunity for some guys to prove themselves to be a main fixture once you get into ACC play. So that part is a little bit frustrating, but given the body of work, I think you've seen a pretty good idea of what to expect from the lineup. I think what you'll see on the mound is very much still in flux. I think, predominantly we've seen younger guys. All the experience, like I've talked about time and time again, is very important for these freshman guys early. So once Friday rolls around, I do think that most of the roles on this team have probably been filled. I think there was a little bit of a platooning situation at second base. I would expect Luke Nixon to take that over moving forward, but everything else, it seems pretty set and ready to go. So I'm not concerned with a postponement on Tuesday. Just want everybody to be healthy, but we certainly need to be all systems go by the time Friday rolls around. That'll do it for us here on Tuesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what you think about this loss to Duke on Monday night. Tell us, well, I'm sure you'll tell us what you think about Kevin Keats, as everyone already is. That's fine. Anything you got on your mind, drop it down in the box. We'll be sure to read it and respond to it. And if you have not already, mash that subscribe button. Tell your grandma to hit the subscribe button. What else has she got to do than subscribe to Locked On Wolfpack on Tuesday morning? So we got to get these numbers up. We're on our way to 1,500 and beyond. We need grandma's help in doing such a thing. Thank you all for joining us again. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.